Hey, Kim.
Hi, Ify.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are
Yeah,
you?
I'm sure you're tired from being a new mom and everything. So, how old is your
Yes.
baby now?
So he's 6 weeks and 3 days.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah.
we've been talking a lot about, motherhood and new mom questions and just what was it like? Just explain, just tell us a little bit about the experience of becoming a mom, like when you saw your baby for the first time, how did that feel?
It felt really good when I saw the baby for the first time.
Hmm.
So much was going on, so there wasn't like this whole moment. you know, there was a lot going on in that delivery room. So
Yes.
but finally, when everything calmed down,
Mhm.
it was nice to see him. I didn't really know what to expect.
Mhm.
He slept a lot. You know, it was nice just watching him. So that was my initial reaction to everything.
Mhm. I know for
Yeah.
me it was like amazing that this human being was in me.
Yes.
Like I remember like there were nights when I would see my little boy like, stand his whole. I don't know if he ever did that. He probably did that. I don't know if you noticed your little baby move in your womb. When
Yes.
your stomach will change shape, and it
Yes.
for me it was like a little weird and a little creepy, but
Yes.
just like seeing the hump and then seeing him move and just realizing that now he is out here in the world and it's real and
Yes.
this human being was in me. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
it was so amazing just knowing that this was now a reality. So, but I just want us to talk about motherhood, like
Oh
being
yeah.
a new mom, just what motherhood, it feels like a heavy word sometimes. Like,
hmm
what were your expectations of motherhood before you became a mom, and how have they changed now with being a mom?
Before I became a mom, I was looking forward to it. And I thought it was probably going to be not as challenging initially.
Hmm.
I thought the hardest part was going to be the labor and childbirth. And surprisingly, the childbirth wasn't very difficult at all. Once you had that epidural, like for me, it was pretty seamless. I was
Okay.
laughing and telling jokes. My husband was like, "Are you okay? Are you supposed to be telling jokes in the delivery room?" So that part was very easy.
Hmm.
And we were in the hospital, so we were getting a lot of help from the nurses coming in to check on the baby.
Hmm.
Yes, it was pretty seamless. What I didn't think would be so challenging was breastfeeding. Oh my God, that was worse
Hmm.
than childbirth. That was very, very challenging. And I just never thought much about it. It was just like, okay, well, I'm going to breastfeed and we're going to do that for, several months and then we'll go on to this and go on to that.
Hmm.
But that was like a huge pause for me.
Yes, and I know we've talked a lot about
Mm,
breastfeeding, and the good thing is that you already knew the benefits, like going into it.
yes.
So even though it's challenging and it has been challenging for you, we've been trying to work on different things and different techniques to make it less challenging. Like, the scheduling, was there something about scheduling that really helped? When you tried the scheduling, you told me that you tried scheduling and it did cause you to have more flow.
It did. So first I started with the breastfeeding, and the baby he would latch, but it was so painful.
Hmm.
And I actually met with four different lactation consultants just over the course of his birth till he was about 4 weeks old.
Oh.
And the first three, they gave some good pointers. They saw everything. And they told me that I would probably desensitize because I think I'm probably generally sensitive in the nipple
Mhm.
region, and then that'll make it easier for the baby. I was concerned initially that he wasn't getting enough milk. I know one time he was latched on me for an hour and a half, and I had to pull him off. So I was breastfeeding for an hour and a half, and when I pulled him off, he was still going for the nipple, as if he was still hungry. So that's when I told the lactation expert to come in. This is when I was still in the hospital. And she said, "Oh, you're not supposed to breastfeed for an hour and a half." I said, "Well, I didn't know that. He was just still on the breast, on the nipple." Um, so that was pretty challenging. So after that, I started giving him formula because I wanted to make sure that number one, that he's being fed and that he's not being starved.
Mhm.
So after that, we did a combination of breastfeeding and formula. And then I went a period of probably like 3 weeks before I saw the next lactation specialist.
Mhm.
And in those 3 weeks, I had just been pumping, and I was getting some milk from the pumping. It was enough to feed him for like 1 or 2 meals, and then that's it.
Mhm.
Um, so eventually, finally, when we met with the next lactation specialist, the baby stopped latching. Like he preferred the bottle,
Yeah.
because he was used to like the just getting the milk gushing into his mouth instead of having to work for it.
Mhm.
So that was also challenging. When I try to put him on, he would be, get very frustrated and frantic and then start crying because he doesn't want to latch. He wants something else.
Mhm.
But we tried a few things, and what I did ultimately, I just started formula feeding him,
Mhm.
and I like the benefits of the breast milk. Is definitely important, and I was completely unprepared for it, completely.
Mhm.
But I do think, especially for my next child, um, I think I will go into it with uh, eyes wide open.
Mhm. And I think
Yeah.
every one thing is every baby is different.
Mhm.
So your next child might not care about the speed as much and might latch
True.
better. So it's important to know every baby's different. And for people who have more than one child, they tell you that they've had different experiences with each child. And what are some of the digestive issues? Like we have with you talked about with him sometimes feeding fast and just like over.
Yeah. Yeah. It seemed like he was overeating.
Mhm.
The pediatrician was telling us he should be feeding at that time like no more than 3 ounces, like
Mhm.
every 3 hours or so.
Mhm.
And he was just wanting more and more and more, and then he'd start having like stomach problems and a lot of regurgitation. So we had to scale back. So we scaled back, and that worked for a little bit. But then as he grew, he started wanting more, but we were still scaling back, and we had to like catch up with him. So it's a lot of kind of learning the baby and learning how to adapt.
Mhm.
And as new parents, sometimes you feel like, okay, I don't really know what I'm doing, but as you figure things out, you feel like, okay, well, maybe I got this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it always helps to have people to bounce off ideas or of like people who've
yeah,
been there before and have that support.
so helpful.
It always helps.
Yes,
Like I know for one, we were talking about how your baby's digestive system is new and he has to adjust. Like
yes.
just he's gonna be gassy. He could be colicky. He could be fussy because
Mm.
he's gassy. But that's like I noticed that when he got a little bit older, he started settling down more, right? Like
He
it seems like
did.
now he's not as fussy as he was
He's
before.
not.
Yeah.
He's
So
definitely better natured. At first I thought, at first, I was telling my husband, why does our baby seem so sad? Because when he would sleep, he would make these distressing sounds like like he's crying out randomly, and then he'll have this look on his face like he's like sulking in his sleep. And I was like, why is our baby depressed? Like, what has he gone through in this world that has taken his joy away at such an early age?
yes.
Oh my God! And that was hard.
Mhm.
You know, I as I talk to you more and even like Google, I was googling stuff like why is my newborn so sad?
Mhm. Did you
And,
find
and
anything?
yeah, they're saying that it's probably gas. They don't really like hold on
Yes,
to
like I
really
told you, it was
stuff.
gas. It's probably gas because like his digestive system is new. and he's out in this big bad world. He's like, I was safe in my mother's womb. Now I
Yeah.
have to deal with all this noise. I have to deal with like my stomach feeling funny from time to time. I'm really hungry, and then I eat and I feel funny, and like his body is just adjusting to being alive, and just
Yeah.
he's just growing, and little kids are colicky and gassy, and sometimes
Oh yeah.
they're because like even with just them being gassy, sometimes you know how gas sometimes just swims around in your stomach instead of coming out the right way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it can make you uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
they're like,
Very.
what's going on? I don't know. This I didn't feel this when I was in the womb. I want to go
That's
back
true.
inside. So you sometimes I can only imagine how weird it feels for a little one to be out here in these streets and in this
Yeah,
world.
oh yeah, in these streets, you know.
So so yeah, I think it's that always have to it's sometimes it's hard to think about that the fact that they are in a new world. They have to adjust just like we have to adjust.
Yes,
And when we think about it that way, it makes it a little bit easier to understand them and what they're going through. And what
it's
about
true.
self-care for you? What have you found about self-care that helped you?
Self care didn't exist until like probably the past 2 weeks.
Okay.
Like
Mhm.
when I came back from the hospital, there was I was pretty much swollen, so I was
Mhm.
healing from everything, and it was just me and my husband
Mhm.
because of the whole COVID thing going on right now. We didn't really have any extended family around,
Mhm.
so we were just kind of managing by ourselves. So it was challenging, especially coming out the first few days. We really didn't get any sleep, and then we had to figure out a system. So we started doing shifts. Okay, I'll take the first night shift, you take the second. That
Mhm.
way we can both get some sleep, and we're not like walking around like zombies in here.
Yes.
Yeah. So after that, my husband stayed with me for about 10 days, and we figured out a lot of things about the baby. Then he had to go back to work. Then it was just me. So then I was kind of figuring out how to navigate that. I perfected a 4-minute shower.
Yes.
So there wasn't like a whole bunch of self care going on. It was just like, all right, I'm learning my baby, trying to
Mhm.
figure out what he needs, and trying to do what's working, and trying not to be too hard on myself at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of being
Yeah.
hard on yourself, we talked about something, interesting, popular quote, mom guilt. I think it's
Yes.
becoming more popular these days. For you, what is mom guilt and how does that affect your experience?
The mom guilt really revolved around the whole breastfeeding.
Oh.
Because yeah, I was feeling a lot of pain when he latched. And I would talk to like some older women, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's pain." I'm like, "Well, this is like pain, like like worse than labor pain." I don't think that's normal. And the lactation specialist did say that you should feel some soreness, maybe a little discomfort, but the way I was describing it didn't seem like it was sore or a discomfort.
Mhm.
But so when I started giving the baby the bottle, I felt like, oh no, he's missing out his antibodies. I don't
Mhm.
know the future implications this is going to have on this child.
Yeah.
Like I,
Yeah.
I I wanted to do the whole breastfeeding bonding thing, and I was really kind of feeling down about it.
Mhm.
But it was just so much. And when I had him to myself and my husband was, at work, it was
Mhm.
so hard because I was carrying him all the time. And then to like feed him and be able to like pump regularly, it was really hard to kind of do that. And also like not really sleeping very well. So
Mhm.
eventually it just kind of withered away to me giving him the bottle. And I was really feeling so guilty about that. But now I've kind of accepted it.
Yeah.
So I think you do the best that you can
Yeah.
with the information that you have and the situation you have, and then you kind of learn and go from there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, that's great. Well, is there any other thing that you would just love to share with moms or people who don't know anything about motherhood and um, it's something you just want to tell us about your experience?
I would definitely say it gets easier, and you will figure it out.
Yes.
When they gave us the baby to finally take home, and the nurses weren't there for us to ask all our questions, we looked at each other like, oh, that was all on us. We
Yes.
don't want to screw up. Don't want to drop him. I hadn't held an infant in like probably like 2 decades, like a
Oh,
newborn. Yeah, so I really,
you did hold
you
my
know,
baby though. You held him for a little bit, remember?
how old was he when I held him? Was he like newborn
He was
stage?
he was less than a month, I think, because I remember you
Oh,
said
was he?
you were scared because he was really little. You know, he was born early, so he was little.
Uh-huh.
You were scared, so you did hold him. You held him, but you just forgot
I
about it.
did. Oh, I probably forgot about it.
Yes,
Yes. I
yes,
really haven't been around babies.
yes.
And yeah, I was so afraid. I'm like, I don't want to drop him. I don't want to
Uh-huh.
like, there's kind of anxiety surrounding, things. But it gets easier,
Yes.
now I do self-care. I take like little time for myself, and
Hmm.
the baby is starting to smile. I'm like, thank God this
Oh
baby can
yes, he's no
smile.
longer sad.
He doesn't look sad or depressed anymore.
Yes. And
Yeah.
skin
So,
to skin contact too. Did you try that? I know we talked about skin to skin contact. Did you try it?
yes, yeah, I do that. I do that, and he loves it. Even when I'm
Yes.
carrying him over my shoulder,
Mhm.
like I would put my cheek to his cheek, and when I move my cheek, he'll move his cheek closer to touch my cheek.
Yes. Yes, it calms
So,
your baby. It just makes them it regulates their body temperature. It calms your baby. It also helps you with bonding. It
yeah,
helps with bonding. And how do you feel like I know that after you have a baby, the first few weeks, probably about 6 weeks, you have a lot of fluid loss. Like, I don't know if your feet were swollen after you had your baby, but
mine
if they were
were.
swollen, they should have gone less swollen at this point. But how long did it feel like you had a lot of fluid for? Like how many weeks?
Probably, I said probably maybe like a solid week, maybe week and a half or so.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I totally did not feel like myself. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, am I gonna go back to normal?
Hmm.
But then slowly the swelling went down and the discomfort went down. And then, I started feeling more like myself. I can walk and climb the stairs without feeling much discomfort. And yeah, so even now I feel so much better.
Yes, that's
you
great.
know,
Hmm.
it's still a process. I can't
Yeah.
wait for the time when my baby can sleep through the whole night. That'll be so
Yes.
nice. I think me and my husband are gonna have to celebrate on that one.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, so far so good. He's good natured. He even plays and makes little playful noises.
Hmm.
So yeah, my thing to first time mothers is that it gets better and you will figure it out. And the
Amen
more you
to
figure
that.
little things out, the more confident you are. Like, okay, yeah, I really can figure this out.
Yes. Thanks
Yeah.
so much for chit chatting with me. And
Anytime.
and I guess we're gonna sign off at this point. But
Yes.
I am Efi, and this is my friend and Kim, and I am the writer and owner of 360 Health Coaching and Consulting.com. So hope you enjoyed our little chat, and we hope to see you some other time. Bye bye.
Bye.